Now let's try to understand Jupiter in the 9th house in Capricorn. This is the 11th installment in my series on Jupiter in the 9th house in each zodiac sign. In the first installment, we established a fundamental interpretive template for Jupiter in the 9th house in general. We concluded that it indicates someone who's very ethically motivated and driven, someone who's very intelligent and therefore a natural at guiding and leading others, and somebody who's very prosperous and successful and also very fruitful and therefore attractive. Now we want to take that basic template and customize it for the fact that Jupiter is in Capricorn in the 9th house. So we can start out by leveraging the whole sign house system, which I highly recommend. This system allows us to say, well, if Capricorn is the 9th house, then Sagittarius must be the 8th, and Pisces must be the 11th. So if Jupiter is in Capricorn in the 9th house, it means the 8th and 11th Lord has gone to the 9th house. So we can think about that and interpret that. The 8th Lord in the 9th house is unorthodox, because it's this contrast between orthodoxy and controversy. As the 11th Lord, which is neither liberal nor conservative, but very successful, it indicates success in being unorthodox. So Jupiter in Capricorn in the 9th house, being that it is the 8th and the 11th Lord in the 9th house, signifies someone who is successfully unorthodox, means they will change the norms, or at least they will challenge the norms. Another thing we can say about this 11th and 8th Lord in the 9th house is inheritive. They're probably inheriting many qualities from parents and teachers that they grow up with. They're probably maybe inheriting many riches and so forth, gifts, awards. So it's very interesting that we're able to derive that by using the whole sign house system, just by knowing that Jupiter is in Capricorn in the 9th house. What else do we know? Well, we know Jupiter's in Capricorn. So what does that signify? Well, I have a whole video about that. And if you're interested in those details, I'll put a link to it in the description below this. Just to summarize the situation: distrust, unconventionality or unusualness, and a Machiavellian attitude, a highly practical attitude, pragmatic. Then to go along with those two columns, we have what we already know as a general template for Jupiter in the 9th house, which is to be very ethically motivated, to be a naturally intelligent leader or guide or teacher, and to be prosperous and fruitful. So with those three columns of information, we can really make an intelligent interpretation of Jupiter in Capricorn in the 9th house. All we need to do is see where they're on the same page. For example, the ethical motivation of Jupiter in the 9th makes a person be very driven, and the Machiavellian nature of Jupiter in Capricorn makes a person be very goal-oriented. So Jupiter in both of those situations at once in the 9th house in Capricorn is very, very tenacious and very, very driven to accomplish goals. Another thing is that we said the 8th and 11th Lord in the 9th house is very unorthodox, and Jupiter in Capricorn is also unorthodox. It's very unusual. So when a person has Jupiter in both those situations, then expect the person to be so unusual that you could probably describe them as iconoclastic, which means that they set out to break the norms. Their intention is to break the norms. So who do we know who has Jupiter in Capricorn in the 9th house? Well, Enrico Fermi. Enrico Fermi is a very important physicist. He's involved in the creation of the atomic bomb and many other things. So is he a very tenacious person? Very much so. Is he very iconoclastic? Very much so. But probably the most obvious thing about him, much more than those traits, is that he's really smart. So we didn't really say that about Jupiter in Capricorn. that they're really smart. Well, that is the basic underlying nature of Jupiter in the ninth house in general. It's very smart. And you can see Enrico Fermi's intellect is directed towards doing things that had not been done before. And that illustrates the nature of Jupiter and Capricorn in the ninth house. But the kind of intelligence that he has doesn't really just derive from his Jupiter and Capricorn in the ninth house. So a very important thing to note is that he doesn't just have Jupiter in the ninth house. He has Jupiter in the ninth house with the ninth lord. So the ninth house, which has to do with education and intellect, is uplifted, and now Jupiter occupies it. Furthermore, and this is very interesting, so Mercury is the planet of intellect, and it's the lord of the second and the fifth. The fifth is the house of intelligence, and the second is the house of knowledge. That Mercury is in a mutual aspect by opposition with his moon, and his moon is the third lord. So what you have here in his case, mutual aspect between the second, fifth, and the third lords, which is very indicative for intellect, especially when his Mercury is also involved in Buddhaditya Yoga, in this particular case where the sun is the fourth lord and Mercury is the fifth lord. And Buddhaditya Yoga in this case indicates extreme intelligence. The additional fact that his first lord is in multiple Raja Yogas is icing on this cake that just lets you know that things are not going to go south with this chart. Things are going to go north. Whatever can happen well will happen well and successfully. If you want to understand the whole context of your chart, the soil in which your interpretive seeds grow, then visit my website, vicdecara.com, and click Readings. My complete chart report explains each and every nook and cranny of your chart and will keep you occupied in self-discovery for years. I also have two groundbreaking new reports. The first of these, Your Nakshatra, organizes your active nakshatras in order of their importance to you and presents the fundamental interpretations for the planets that occupy them. And the newest report, Star Strength, uses a system called Tarabala to unfold 90 interpretations of the nuanced relationships between all the planets in your chart, which paints a rich and detailed picture of how your various strengths cooperate or compete with each other. Order these or any of my reports and accelerate your journey to deeper self-understanding.